Welcome back to Selling the Soundtrack, your go-to pod for everything music sync licensing. On this episode, we've got Katrina Balcius. She is the head of enterprise at Disco, helping top music industry teams simplify their workflow and increase their productivity. Based in LA, she works with clients like Amazon Studios, Viacom, Saatchi and a ton of others, making their creative team spend more time on what actually matters. Before she joined Disco in 2017, she worked in San Francisco's music tech space, helping rights holders protect their music and their visuals online. Her passion for the creative side of the industry led her to a role in sync and AR at Silverside Productions, a boutique music sync licensing company. Kat brings a unique perspective on both sync and tech and how these industries work together. So I'm super excited for this session. Thanks so much for being here, Kat.
Thanks for having me. We
Of
finally made it
course.
happen.
I know, long awaited. I've been trying to get Kat on Selling the Soundtrack for like years, so I'm very happy about this. So you built an amazing career in the sync world. What first got you into the space, and like what keeps you excited about it?
So, what first got me into this world was working in tech in San Francisco and feeling like, is this what I want to do? Is this lighting me up? Everyone probably has had that moment in your career where you're like, yeah, do I need to switch it up? What do I really want to do? So I kind of had this epiphany of like, I've always been obsessed with music and
Hmm.
obsessed with film and TV and the soundtracks of film and TV. It's really cliche because everyone my age says this, but like the OC was such a monumental, pivotal soundtrack for my youth.
Agreed.
And that was kind of what made me think I want to do that job. That's like so cool. So I was like, I want to be a music supervisor.
Yeah.
Let's get out of tech. Let's like get more into that world. But I
Mhm.
realized I know nothing about it. So I should probably meet some people that have been in that world and can help shed a light on what it takes to get there. So at
Mhm.
that point I was in San Francisco, not a huge music scene, but a music scene. I went on LinkedIn. I
Mhm.
typed in job title contains music. Location is San Francisco. And then there were like 15 people that came up. I cold messaged all of them. Everyone was so kind and actually took a meeting with me.
Mhm.
That resulted in me meeting Craig O'Neill, who is a co-owner at Silverside Productions. Best guy, coolest guy. I loved him like immediately. And I
Mhm.
just asked him in that coffee meeting, like, can I work for you? And he was like, actually, yeah, you can. I do need some help.
Mhm.
So I thought, let's learn the rights holder pitching side, build some relationships, and then go into music supervision. So that I'm so glad they gave me that opportunity and I could kind of be on that side of the industry in that world because I had to do a lot of the mundane shitty things. Can we say shitty on this
Yeah,
podcast?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was downloading and uploading all of the assets from our artists. I was adding metadata. I was converting files. I was like doing the whole thing in another platform.
Mhm.
And Silverside, they're like, we're switching to Disco. I was like, cool, what's that? They're like, it's
Mm.
so much better than this current system. Like, you're going to love it. So I was around that transition of moving the catalog over to Disco. All of this to say, I only did Silverside part time because I still had my cushy tech job.
Mhm.
But then the worlds collided and things worked out, and I met the Disco team, my now teammate Tim, because I needed a training. So I was like, what do I do now to upload music and make playlists, and where do the albums live?
Mhm.
And this was the time at Disco when it was really small, and we like basically took a meeting with everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody got a coffee meeting with us. So
Mhm.
met with him, taught me disco, and then he was explaining like I'm the only one boots on the ground here in LA, and I cannot keep up with the demand. It was kind of just like getting to know each other, venting a little bit, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Can I work for you?"
Oh, really? You just
Yeah,
asked because you just like
I
the
just
company
asked.
culture?
Yeah, well, it
Oh.
was time for a change. I needed to move on from my current setup,
Mm.
um, and it was like, okay, I've been working in sync for a while now, I get the players, I know the people, I get this world. I've worked in tech before, in music tech. So it's kind of a perfect combo. So then I got hired. Then I started working at Disco and pitching and doing Silverside at the same time until Disco got a little too demanding and I went full time here 7 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, my first order of business was go get music supervisors on Disco.
Wow. It was kind of just like shooting your shot a lot because, like, even to get that Silverside job, you were asking people for coffee chats too.
Yeah.
To get in rooms with them.
Yeah, totally. And like, what's the worst someone says? No. Okay, no problem. But it's like, if it's feeling right and you're
100%.
vibing with someone and
Yeah.
it's just like, I want to learn from you.
Absolutely. And the thing with coffee, it's so low stakes, but also such a nice little gift to be like, I'll buy you coffee. It costs like
Yeah.
$20. It's nothing.
Which is actually crazy that it does cost $20.
Yeah,
But
I know.
yeah.
Don't even get me started with Starbucks. Why is it actually so expensive? But yeah, no, I agree. The coffee thing is such a beauty. It's such a good way to get your foot in the door for sure. So one thing I wanted to ask you too is what's something about working in sync that you wish more artists understood?
That getting a sync is like getting struck by lightning, but in a good way, not where like you're gonna get hurt. But it's really hard. It's not
Yeah.
as easy as people think.
Yeah.
And I think another really important element is that I don't really advise you go at it alone and try and make all the relationships and learn all of the schedules for what's coming out, what's in production or pre-production, that you really rely on sync agents or your label or your publisher or
Mhm.
your distributor. A lot
Mhm.
of distros have sync representation now, which is amazing. Rely on them and build your relationships with them so you're always top of mind. So when the sync rep is the one that knows music supervisors better than you because they've
Mhm.
spent their whole career building those relationships, understanding how to pitch to them, what they like, where they hang out, all
Mhm.
that. So it's like work with those folks that it's just, I think you're going to get there faster than if you try and do it yourself. And they really should only take a percentage of the license fee. So if
Mhm.
anyone asks you to like pay to pitch, like that's a bit of a red flag. I would
Yeah.
say no. Um,
Yeah.
so, they're only making money if you're making money. So they're going to try and find a home for your music if they really believe in it and know where it fits.
Yeah.
So yeah, building a team around you that can support.
Yeah, yeah. I hear what you're saying completely. Like a sink is kind of like a baby and it like takes a village. People want to kind of DIY and do it themselves, but like you do need a sync agent. They're well versed in the sync industry. They have the connections and like even outside of that too, like collaboration with other people that have sync agents. If you don't have one, like yeah, this is definitely at least what I keep hearing on every single episode is that it's all about working with people because it's way too hard to do it by yourself. Like it's a connections game and just like meeting the right people, getting in the right rooms, and just making like good human connections.
Another cool thing to think about, and I honestly just thought of it,
Hmm.
is depending on the type of music you make, it might even be interesting for people to think about working with some production libraries, but certain songs you have, like the songs you love, 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 I
100%.
don't put them in the library.
Yeah.
But that could be a good way to even start getting in that world and getting some cuts. So then you have like a resume of, oh, my song was in Real Housewives or
Hmm.
Dateline, or I don't even know why those are top of mind, but you know what I mean? Like
Cat's guilty pleasures.
Real Housewives, absolutely. Dateline, no, I don't know why that came out. But yeah, like that could be another way to make some revenue, money,
Hmm.
some income from your music, but be really, really strategic about what goes in the production music libraries.
Everything's kind of a stepping stone. Like you said, getting your music in one library, you can put that in an email when pitching to another library to say I'm already a part of XYZ, and that kind of gives you street cred. So totally, yeah. Libraries are great. Sync agents are harder to get to because like you kind of need like an intermediary. I feel like it's hard to just message a sync agent and be like, "Hey, rep me." They'll like want to know. Maybe like a middle person. That's how I got mine. I like it was a process.
It is a process, and it's all about who you know. Again, I cliche, and probably no one wants to hear that, but it is true. Utilizing connections that you already have, and seeing who is connected with sync agents that you want to work with, like a warm intro is huge. You
Mhm.
know, a lot of A&Rs I talk with, it's like when I ask them, how do you like get new music? How do you hear what's coming out? 90% of the time it's a friend or a colleague that's sending them music. Um, so yeah, a cold outreach, your email better be good. It better be so good and
Yeah.
unique and different, and that can work. Seen a lot of success with that. But
Mhm.
yeah, getting referrals is always best.
Okay, so highlighting Disco now. Disco's become the go-to tool for all sync pros. Legitimately, every single episode I've ever recorded mentions Disco. Um, what makes it so essential in the industry?
The network that is behind disco. I mean, that's one. And two, the product just is great. It just is built by people that get this world and have been in music for years, if not decades at this point.
Mhm.
So it's always coming, like we're building it from a lens of we understand how sync works. We are also experts, and we're going to build a tool that matches the day-to-day workflows that sync folks go through. But
Mhm.
that network kind of piece, going back to that, because so many music supervisors and editors, studios, etc., rely on Disco as their core music library, their database. That's how they get music.
Mhm.
So when you send a supervisor something on Disco, it's kind of a signal to them that says, A, you have your shit together and you know what's industry standard, and you likely have your metadata in place,
Mhm.
because we really try and educate on, proper metadata, proper pitching, etc. So
Mhm.
that's one thing just to flag on, like, okay, they know what's up. And then two, it reduces barriers for them to get your music. So end goal always is to get a sync. But I think another goal and like metric to strive for is just having your music saved to someone's disco. Because if you send an attachment, which is a big, big no no, never do that, or a Dropbox or a SoundCloud, that might sit in someone's email for a long time and it's not
Mhm.
really discoverable because I have to like download and upload it, which doesn't
Mhm.
seem like that big of a deal. But when you're talking about being pitched thousands of songs a week and you're being hit up by, I'm talking about music supervisors, like hit up by the showrunner, the director, the editor, your agent, music houses, like they just get inundated. And they have a very unique role too. They're like creative and very analytical. The brain of a music supervisor is kind of crazy.
All over the place. Yeah.
It's a skill, man. That is a skill. That is a skill. So anyway,
Yeah.
just thinking they're so busy. You have to make it stupidly easy for them to engage with you and get your music. So
Mhm.
because there's the network of like save to disco and like uploading to discos, that reduces any barriers. Just click and now the music is in my library. And now what this means too is it's tagged, it's indexed, it's searchable in my own disco. And it also can be discoverable if I look for like a reference track replacement. That
Mhm.
happens a lot. It's like, oh my gosh, this agency loves, this Dua Lipa song, but like they don't have that budget for it. So the supervisor usually starts in their disco. What have people sent me in the past that sounds like this? So if your music is in there, right, your chances are a little
Easy.
bit higher for discovery.
Totally. It's built by music supervisors for music supervisors. So it just gives like, I care about your workflow and I'm trying to make
Yes.
it easy for you
Yeah.
because yeah, they're doing a billion. I forget what book I read. It's like Inside the Mind of Music Supervisors or something. Um, damn, what was the book?
Who wrote that? I haven't read it.
Oh, no. Thinking in Sync. A primer on the mind of a music supervisor. But pretty much like it explains exactly that. It's that they're balancing a million things. They're kind of like the linchpin between so many different teams. So we're just like as musicians, such a small part compared to like we're like when it comes to films, we're kind of like an afterthought. So we need to make it easy because usually there's not that much time that music supervisors have to find music. So if we're making their lives hard, they're not going to care to like try and search their inbox, their email inbox to because they're going to remember that song.
No, they won't.
They
Or
just
maybe they will,
won't.
but
It's got to be one hell
uh,
of a special
yeah.
song. Like
Yeah.
I rarely. So yeah, it's just like it gives you an upper hand as a musician. And I know a lot of the listeners are also like aspiring sync agents. So like when you're pitching also as a sync agent, using a disco link is just like 100% necessary.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah, you got it. I had a couple supervisors say to me recently about just there's, a handful of rights holders that don't use Disco, and they're, like, complaining to me about it.
mhm.
"Oh, why doesn't so and so have to download their stuff? I hate it, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, you're the client. If you tell them, you tell them, and then I'll
You
help
tell
them.
them.
You tell them."
Okay, so also the new artist opportunities tab in Disco has been such a game changer. How does it work, and how can artists listening use it to get their music heard?
So the Artist Opportunity tab is available on artist plans. So a little background. So, Disco, as we mentioned, built for music supervisors, built for sync, but it really exploded outside of that part of the music industry into like A&Rs and managers and radio pluggers and publicists and artists. So, we noticed a couple years ago, we're like, whoa, we have a ton of artists that use Disco, and we've never marketed to them, and we never really built Disco for them in the
Mhm,
beginning. So we're like, we need to talk to some artists and composers and understand what they care about and what do we need to shift in Disco to support what they need. So then comes Disco for Artists, which is unlimited storage. So that was a huge thing. Artists were like, I don't want to have to choose what goes into my storage or pay extra for it. It's like we
mhm,
want you to be able to have all your stems, all your work in progress, all your press photos and videos, just go to town.
mhm,
Um, and then also like giving access to your manager or a collaborator. So like
mhm,
2 seats, unlimited storage, and then we have auto tagging. Sometimes artists over tag their music, which can be a little bit of a disservice. So we thought, okay, let's at least give them like the core tags that they need to have on their tracks to pitch, just to
mhm,
help them out and give a little leg up.
mhm,
And so then with that is the opportunities kind of section in an artist disco. And this rotates, just depends on what partners we're working with who have cool initiatives or programs that we feel we want to let artists know about. One of the things we do regularly, though, is a playlist where artists can submit a song, and we have an in house music supervisor that listens to all of them. um, so that's also good to know, like a supervisor combs through that, find what she's really vibing with, and then we send a playlist out every week with indie artists that we found on Disco, just promoting and supporting them, do a little interview, post on socials, which we have a pretty good audience there of sync folks.
mhm,
Um, and then other things we've done, we partnered with Khan in the past. I think we're going to do it again this year, where they have a Spot the Composer campaign. So composers can apply to be a part of this program where you can meet directors at Con, and they have kind of a whole like composer track at that event. So we'll promote that and let people know like, hey, you can submit to this. Here's
Mhm.
an easy way to just do it all through Disco. So yeah, so there's a couple things we have going on.
Yeah, that's crazy cool. Just so many opportunities. For those of you listening, definitely don't sleep on the artist opportunities tab because that's unheard of. It's cool.
Yeah, we just want to try and like bridge that gap more with artists and other like cool companies that are doing stuff that we align with, or ways that they can get more exposure or connect with the right people or find a new partner to make some kick-ass music with. It's kind of early days for that. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on how that's going to evolve. And if there's any like specific areas that people want in there, like we're all ears. Like we
Mhm.
make disco for you guys. So let us know.
Love it. And it's hard for people that aren't in the industry to get in. So that's such a good opportunity for people that are new to sync. Um, so that's fantastic because I feel like there's so many things out there that are sync, but it's like you need to know someone. But this is like an opportunity. You join the platform and you automatically get access to all of this. That's huge. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask are like, what do you think are some of the best practices when pitching to a sync agent
All right. Best practices when pitching to a sync agent.
and using Disco?
Yeah. Okay. So you got to use a disco page, which is our version of an EPK, which is an electronic press kit, if that's new to
Mhm.
you. It's really just like a one pager that you're really tooting your own horn about how great you are.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like a resume, but also like,
Yeah. Which,
yeah.
if that makes you uncomfortable, hire someone to do it for you. But you'll just have like, well, I guess the whole point of this is like first impressions matter and aesthetics matter.
Yes.
So you want to send someone a disco page and they open it and they go, ooh, who's that? What's this? Before they
Mhm.
even click on your music. There has to kind of be that story there.
Mhm.
Um, so making sure you have proper artwork, kind of basic stuff. It's like artwork, your file names aren't all random, like file 223v1.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't know that, just make something up. Just but I'm
Yeah.
sure you have a title for a song, but just make sure all that metadata is buttoned up. And when I
Mhm.
say metadata, I mean at bare minimum, artist, album, title of song, couple genre tags in the genre field,
Mhm.
and in the comments field, you better have your name and your contact details.
Yep.
And then all the like other fun stuff. So I would say when pitching to a sync rep, don't overwhelm them with too many songs in a playlist. You pick what you think are the best. I would say we should ask a sync rep what they think, but I would say like 6 to 10.
Yeah.
6 to 10 songs, don't go crazy.
Mhm.
And then make sure there's a bio. Like, who are you? What
Mhm.
is some interesting things about the music you make, who you've collabed with? Anything you could do. I've actually seen some artists do some cool stuff where they just record a video real quick, like, hey, this is me. I do blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah. Here's why I'm great.
Mhm.
And then you just add that video to the disco page, which is a nice like introduction, and it like kind of humanizes you a little bit more because they can see
Mhm.
you, interacting. Um,
Mhm.
and then just sending that link around to agents that you've done your research on. So think about where your music would fit in, like if you're watching commercials or film, TV, or video games. Like if there's certain shows or commercials where you're like, man, my song would really work in that. Go and look at who the music team is on those projects and what they have licensed. And then you can kind of reverse engineer this and see who the sync rep is. And
Mhm.
then you could reach out to them that way. I guess the thing to think about with that too is like if they already have music that they're representing that's similar to yours, maybe then that's oversaturated. So the other thing you could do is even just reach out to people and ask, like, what are gaps in their catalog that they need, or what are trends that they're seeing? So then you are actually supplying like the demand that's there right now. Oh, and don't forget to ask your distribution if they do sync.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, Symphonic, Amuse, Believe, TuneCore, Create,
Yeah.
United Masters. They all got great sync teams.
Shout out, shout out.
Shout out.
Cool. That's super, super good advice. And do you have any advice for those listening, kind of wanting to bridge the gap like you did between music and tech? Like, do you have any advice for people trying to go down that route and how to go about that?
Going down music and tech route. Man, it's so hard because now there's like so many directions you can go with that. I feel like when I started, which was like 10 years ago, it even felt like there wasn't that much. But now it's like there's so many.
There's so, especially with like all the music AI companies too. Like
I know.
there's a plethora.
I know. I guess it depends on what the people want to do. But at the end of the day, broken record over here. Relationships, relationships, relationships.
Yeah.
Networking. Ew, it's such a gross word. We hate
I
it.
hate that word too.
Networking. Like, because look what I did. I just like hit people up and just asked for a job. I don't know. It's just like figure out that perfect mix of like what you're really good at and what value you can bring to like a company, and then what like lights you up and gets you excited, and find people that do something similar, find companies that do that, and start meeting people there. Go where those people hang out.
Ask, seek, knock type of thing.
Ask, seek, knock. Did you just make that up?
I know. I wish I did. I wish I did. Cool. Very cool. Is there anything else? I don't know if you want to shout out anything for disco or any last bits of advice, anything to wrap.
I feel like there's probably more advice. Is there any area you think we could go in on a little more?
Do you have any advice, I guess specifically for disco, with regards to like organizing your own library? I know like metadata is really important, but are there any other insights with regards to like organization that is like super helpful?
All right. Another area in disco that's helpful for artists is making sure you have all your versions and stems ready.
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because you never know when opportunity is going to knock and someone wants to license your song and they need the stems, and you're like, shoot, didn't ask the engineer to bounce those. And now my engineer is on vacation, or I can't get a hold of him, or he said, I'll do it for $1,000 and I can get it to you next week. And now that opportunity is gone because this industry moves so quick.
Yeah. And with nesting, to just explain that to the audience, that means that it's only if they toggle down that they'll see all of those stems and stuff, right? So it kind of cleans up that initial disco link. So it's not like a million different stems at once. It's like nest means you can click on it and then they get access to all the stems.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like all packaged together, like a little Russian nesting doll. And then you open it up and then there's the instrumental. Yeah. So it keeps it tidy and clean and aesthetically pleasing, and it's not too much.
For those of you who want to connect with Kat, you can find her on socials.
At Katrina Balcius on Instagram. I sometimes post disco stuff on there, but it is my personal, but feel free. I mean, Katrina Balcius on LinkedIn. I don't really use anything else.
I don't blame you. There's way too many.
You can hit up Disco on our website. There's a little chat at the bottom, Real Humans. So if you want to reach out and say hi, I'm sometimes on the chat. So you can just hit us up there and say hello.
Forward me to Kat.
Literally, people do that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
which is really funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It's always so
Thank
nice
you.
catching up. This was an awesome
Same.
episode. Yeah, and don't forget to follow Selling the Soundtrack on socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Audible, blah, blah, blah. See you in the next episode. Peace.
Bye.